Hi, so I'm back here in Writer. So today we're just going to continue with the C# video tutorials. We'll be getting into some of the code examples for file operations. So I switched to a console app in Writer because I don't think it was working in the GUI Windows Form app. So I just included this directive at the top using system.io, or the library. So then here we'll just try to get this code here to run. So we'll be writing data to a file with the StreamWriter object. So here we can say StreamWriter output file. So we're going to create a object reference variable of type. Just comment this out actually. We'll create an We'll create an object reference variable of type StreamWriter named output file. Then here we'll say output file points to file.createText. There we go. That seems to be working now. We'll pass in a file path. Okay. Now there's a special way to do this in C, I believe. Sorry, so let me just go back to where I had those notes here because I forgot how it's done. Okay, so where were we here? We had files for data storage. Okay, so that's where we were. You have to use a path. Okay, here we go, I have it. Okay. So file.createText. You have to put an @ sign outside the. I think you have to put an @ sign or an @ symbol here. Then I'll just put my path name. So I'm just going to call it file.txt. File.txt. That should be fine. Or we could just maybe call it C# file. C# file.txt. So if that doesn't work, you'll have to try a double slash like that. If not, try one like that or two like that. So one of those should be the right answer. This is the way the docs have it, so we'll just try that first and see if that works. So let me just go back to the code where we were. Okay, so here we'll say output file dot write line. That's going to write a line of, it's going to write a string and then start a new line rather than write would just continue where you left off. So here we'll have write line. We could just have some random fruits here. This should not be like that. Okay. So I'll just continue with writing a bunch of different strings here. Output file.write line. Okay, so then we'll just have some random kind of fruits. Okay, so let's just go with just four 4 strings, and then here we'll remember to close the file stream, so we'll say output file dot close. So that should be all. We'll just save that and run it, see if it works. Didn't say there was a problem. Let me just see if that file's on my desktop. Hopefully the video doesn't stop here. Okay, where are we? Yep, it seems to be up, so that worked. Double path slashes might work too. Let's just see if that actually is true. C# file 2.txt. Save that. Then I'll run that again. No problems. Looks like it did work as well. So yeah, so that's a double. I'd rather just go with a double because I think in Java and just a normal C programming language, even Python, you can just use double. So double works fine. I'd rather just go with double. Not sure if triple will work. You can try to add more. Double seems to be fine. So that works. That's how you write a text file. So yeah, so that's how you create a text file in C#, or writing. You can write data to a text file using C#. Doing that, so you can write data to a file on your desktop or wherever, somewhere in your computer, documents or anything, from C#, and the data will be saved. Okay, so let's continue on here. To the next example. Alright, so let's just maybe try this again with the same path. So let me just copy the path here. So let me just delete all that. Okay, so remember we have to include our using system.io directive at the top. Okay, so here we will go for the next example, which is using the write method instead of the write line method. Okay, so let's oh, sorry, back hurts here because I don't know, I think I took a few weeks off heavy ab exercises, and I went heavy, like with weights. So I do my ab exercise with weights, like plates. I put plates on my stomach when I do sit-ups, and I think I was going too far back, and my lower back's all like I can't even hardly move it. Took about a month off from doing ab exercises, trying to squeeze them back into my schedule. I'm hardly able to move here. Just trying to roll around so I can see my notes. Okay, so we have the write method. So the write method is exactly the same thing, except we just would use write instead of write line. So here we'll just once again we'll create a stream writer object reference variable. We'll say stream writer output file. Why is it called an output file? It's an output file because we're writing output to a file. We're not getting input from a file because input is reading, output is writing. So here we'll say output file points to file, the class file I guess, dot create text, which is a method. Not sure if you actually need to do that. Let's just try something here. Actually, maybe you might have to, because in other languages you have to say file points a new file. Then you pass in the path. But it's saying you can't create a object of type static class system.io.file, so it won't let you create a file object like that. So in C# it's a little bit different. You already call the file class, so you just need to call the static. So I guess file is a static class, which means you can't create an object out of it. So we'll talk about that later on. What does static mean and all that. So output file points to file. So you just call the file class. I guess it's a public static class, therefore you can just access its methods with the dot operator. So we say file dot, then one of its methods is create text. So you don't really need to create a file object like Java or C's similar, but it's a bit different. Actually, I think this is just like, it's closer to C. You just need kind of just like a reference variable. You don't actually have to instantiate an object of type file because it's saying, well, you don't need to create a file object, you can just call the static file class's method, but you have to create a stream writer object reference variable, so it's a little bit confusing. It's kind of an extra step with a stream writer. But anyways, here we'll say stream writer output file, then output file points to file.create text. Here we'll pass in that path. There's double quotations here. Oh, now there's none. Or there's just one, okay. So that's the path, C# file.txt. Okay, so now we'll say output file dot write blueberries, then we'll say output file dot write R, then output file dot write, and here we can say blue. So this should concatenate everything on one line because write line would separate them with a new line. The strings would separate the strings with a new line, but write should continue off without a new line. So we just say, here we could add a space, blueberries are space blue space. So you can space it yourself. You could add a new line yourself, I believe. So let's just try that first and see what we have here. So blueberries are blue. Then remember to close the file stream. So here we'll say output file dot close. Save that and run it. Should have worked. So I'm just gonna check my desktop here. Yeah, so that worked. It had everything on one line with spaces. So now let's try something else. Let's add a new line here. Then we'll say here output file dot write. We could just go with here cherries. Output file dot write r output file dot write are red. So that should have the string separated here. So blueberries are blue, then new line. Output file dot write cherries are red. New line. Save that. Let's see if we have that. So I have to run it first. To run it first and then check the file. I'll check the file too. Yeah, so we were able to separate that with a new line, so it's just like Java, C, normal C programming, Java, same thing. Python does that. I think Python might do that too, I forgot. So pretty much you can use new line tab, you can use space, well yes, space, new line tab, everything seems to work the same way. Okay, so that will probably end the video here, so this video will conclude. So we went over writing data with the write method to a file operations, writing data with the write line method, writing data to a file with a stream writer object, calling the file.createText method, and how to close a file. So how to create a file, write to a file, and close the file with different ways of writing. So thanks for watching, guys. If you guys like the video, you can like and subscribe to the channel to support the channel. For more, you can, if you want to see more investing or programming tutorials. And I'll see you guys in the next video. We'll be continuing with file operations. Hope to see you there. See you next time. Take care.